Welcome to another episode of the Beyond February podcast, where we celebrate the changemakers in Montreal who are rewriting the narrative, challenging the status quo, and shaping the future. Today, we have the distinct honor of speaking with a true trailblazer in our community, Rito Joseph. Rito's work is more than history. It's about empowerment, connection, and creating spaces for stories that deserve to be heard. He's reminding us that all Black history isn't confined to 1 month. It's everywhere, and it's up to us to seek it out. From his father's taxi lessons on the Haitian Revolution to his philosophical discussions at the Two Brothers Barbershop, Rito's journey to becoming one of Montreal's leading voices in Black history is nothing short of inspiring. So without further ado, let's dive into today's conversation with Rito Joseph. So Rito, thank you so much for being a part of the Beyond February podcast. How are you feeling today?
I'm blessed. I'm feeling good.
Awesome. We're glad that you're here. So we're going to jump right into the question. So your journey from being a child, being driven around by your father, learning about Black history to creating Montreal Black Experiences is absolutely incredible. How did those early lessons from your father shape your passion for history?
Very good question. It gave me a sense of identity. It made me I was not afraid to, have a different opinion. Or maybe, even take it on a different path. And I would say also it helped me to see the world in different ways. Like he was teaching me about history, but at the same time, a little bit of geography involved, right? Teaching me about the streets, the boulevards, the avenues, and how to navigate around the city. So I feel like I was privileged to learn a lot at a young age, unbeknownst to me, that I was learning so much.
Right, exactly. I got you.
In a very subtle way.
Right,
well.
Of course. So you often talk about the importance of reclaiming Black history in Montreal. Can you tell us about a specific moment or discovery that ignited your desire to start your walking tours?
In regards to Black Montreal history, it was right around the same time that, we're talking about Harlem Renaissance. And it feels like we had our own Harlem Renaissance here, quote unquote.
Yes.
So that really made me want to know more. And also I realized, okay, if I want to know more, I figured a lot of people don't know yet that they need to know more about this history.
Right. So your walking tours through neighborhoods like Little Burgundy and Verdun bring to light stories many Montreals may not be aware of. What is one story from these areas that you think everybody should know?
You know what? I'm going to take on a different route. Although I have tours in Little Burgundy, Old Montreal, Verdun, downtown St. Catherine, and so on, Côte d'Ivoire.
Right.
I'm working on one in NDG, Lachine as well. The one that I was preparing for Hochelaga, I think people should know about Louis Howard Latimer, Louis Howard Latimer. He's the one that brought the electricity in Montreal.
Right.
In the late 19th centuries or 1880s. And he lived around Hochelaga Maisonneuve. And he learned how to speak French because he was working with a lot of French Canadians. And he's an inventor as well. I just think it's really interesting how, often we know about, our Black history in Little Burgundy, as well as migration movements and NDG, LaSalle, Côte d'Ivoire. We know about, on the French-speaking side, east side of town, Montreal, North Saint-Michel. But we tend to forget also we do have a history of African-Americans that came here, not just as porters, but, different walks of life.
Exactly.
And he's also one of the people that I find really interesting in that sense.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you mentioned the erasure of Black history in Montreal. Can you share more about why you think it's important to focus on Black history in the context of this city specifically?
This is a very good question because I think, or I know for a fact that this is a city that, it's multi-layered, right? It has a lot of layers, a lot of different pockets, right? As you navigate the city, it's a bilingual city. You have, some information on the French side, information on the English side. And in order to consolidate this narrative, this history, you need to know what's happening on both sides.
Right.
But when it comes to Black history, for some reason, a lot of people, when they come to Montreal, I think it's hard for them to fathom that we have not just a Black history, we have a Black community that exists, a real one.
Right.
You know, that is not modeled after the United States or the UK or Toronto. We're really Black Montrealers.
Exactly.
Whether we're from the Caribbean, from here, from Africa, from different parts of the world. And I think that it's hard in Montreal because the city has a strong but very subtle segregation. You know, at certain neighborhoods that we'll never walk to, we'll never walk into, certain places that we never visit. So it makes us not have as much interest in those places. And Black history often falls between the cracks.
Yes.
You know, so for a lot of Black Montrealers, they don't really know how to occupy the space because in order to occupy the space, you need to be rooted, you need to have a foundation, but you need to know about the foundation in order to hold on to it.
Exactly.
And I think with this generation now, we need to, I wouldn't say we need to thrust history into them, but at least we need to make them understand the chronological events that led to us being here today.
I agree.
And yeah, for Black history in Montreal, we really need to be conscious. We need to be conscious, and we need to be aware of if we don't spread, if we don't, pass it down to generations, it might not exist anymore. It will exist on paper, but the tangible evidence as who we are that talk about it, to be in control of the narrative, it may not exist anymore.
That's right.
I know I'm going hard.
No, but you have to, because it's the reality of things. And in your opinion, how do gentrification and urban development impact the preservation of Black history and culture in Montreal's neighborhoods?
Oh, this is a very good question. Okay, you guys really came with the questions. Gentrification right now, it's a phenomenon that, we first, at least when it comes to Black history, we first noticed it with Little Burgundy, St. Henry, Little Burgundy, which is considered a Black Mecca of Montreal. Right, for all the reasons, Black consciousness, Black activism, arts, culture, history, music.
Everything.
Right now, the way the market is shifting, the way the urbanized space is being, I guess, occupied, or the way the Black community exists within the city, we don't have a specific place that we can hold on to. And I think this phenomenon now is happening in different parts of, the city, because I see it on the east side of town. Right. I see it in different neighborhoods, even like neighborhoods like Cartierville are getting gentrified.
Of course, yes.
And I think we need to act upon not just, the market, but have a plan, a solid plan to know.
I agree.
Within the city, how do we want to exist? Who are we within the city? How do we want to exist? What do we want to do? What do we want to do for the next 50, 100, 500 years?
Yes, exactly.
Because the market will be shifting from 5, 10 years. Anyways, the market shifts every other year. And I think Black people need to be aware that, we need to have a plan. Otherwise, we just, we'll be part of this wave and, we'll be erased, because you walk around, downtown Burgundy, you don't see much about the Porters. I mean, you do see it, you know about it, but there's not much left in that sense. And it's happening in different parts of the city as well.
I agree with you. And how did your travels to Africa and other parts of the diaspora help you piece together the global Black experience?
Oh, man. Well, Africa was my favorite trip ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been to a few countries. Yeah, Africa was beautiful. My first time, I went to Ghana. My friend Samuel and myself, we went to the 50th anniversary of the All African People's Conference. Wow. Which was, it was started by Kwame Nkrumah in 1958, right? So Ghana is also the first African state to gain their independence. Right. So just to be there, just to go there, to just breathe in the air, see the people, feel the vibe, be in the atmosphere. Oh, it was beautiful. It made me understand more about, us within the diaspora, and also the link, how we need to bridge in the gap with the African context of, in terms of Pan-Africanism. I visited Ghana, I visited Benin, I visited Togo, and I realized that, especially when you're from the Caribbean, West Africa really feels like, there's a piece of the Caribbean in West Africa. Yes. So it was really beautiful to see, because I saw that, for example, in Ghana, they have strong ties with the Jamaican culture. Nice. Right? Okay. Hence why a lot of Jamaicans have Akan names, right? Kwesi, Kwame.
Yes, correct. That's right. Yes.
When I went to Togo, They had strong ties with, for example, Brazil.
Wow.
They have a wave of Afro-Brazilians that left Brazil some 100 years ago that came back to Africa.
That's beautiful.
In Benin, strong ties with Haiti in terms of the culture, in terms of the food, in terms of so it was beautiful to experience.
Love that.
And at the same time, I met people from, like, for example, the UK. I met people from Nigeria because I met people from the States.
Yes.
And because we all congregated there, people from Nova Scotia as well.
Wow.
We tend to forget the Scotians, they're the first Western Black people to go back to Africa. So it was a beautiful moment.
That's really good.
It really, I think going to Africa made it confirmed to me who I wanted to be and what I'm destined to do.
And what is that?
Spread the word. Be part of the solution. Help, my people see clearer.
Yes.
And share the knowledge that I feel as a young person I should have gotten, or at least I receive a little bit through my father.
Right.
But do the work as in, bring the people together, congregating, and have a global vision of who we are, a common understanding of who we are as a people, as civilization, whatever you want to call it, community, but at least have that understanding that, okay, there was something before, something happening now, and what do we want for the future?
Exactly. I love that. I love that. I love that. So you've been an advocate for telling stories in schools and public presentations. What kind of impact have you seen in young people when they hear these stories from time to time?
Man, young people are everything. When they hear the stories, not only they want to know more, they dare to question what we couldn't question.
Right. That's true. Yes.
And curiosity is a little glimpse of someone's intelligence. It's right. It's just tight bits and pieces of what the person, like, the potential is in being curious, at least to reach a certain level of intelligence, right?
Right.
When I go to schools and, when I share the stories with the kids, they not only they realize that, there's at least, of course, history that they're not being taught, but they also understand that there's more to the world than what's happening in school. And that, I'm not trying to talk against schools,
right,
but they have an agenda. And now they understand that simultaneously, yes, there's an agenda, but I can also learn things on my own terms.
Yes.
So I make them, search and
like
Google
that.
Search and understand, like, okay, what happened in 1734? Why? So I feel like, it sparks something in them. They're more curious to know, to learn, and also to engage others in these maybe conversation that may have been hard for us to have in those institutions.
I love that. And you've also mentioned that true change will come when city officials treat Black history with the same importance as linguistic preservation.
Hey.
Can you elaborate on why you feel these histories deserve equal attention?
We talk about, linguistic preservation. I'll be honest with you. French is safe in Quebec. The French language is very, very safe in Quebec. And I think if people are trying to convert, English speakers of Montreal into French speakers, it's not going to work because Montreal has always been a bilingual city ever since the British conquest. That's how it started. And at times when we talk about, preserving French, we tend to forget that local culture is not about a language.
Right.
It's about the local flavors. For example, I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Union United Church is older than the Parti Québécois.
Oui.
You see what I mean?
Of course.
So what are we gonna say? It's an English church. It's not part of our history. It's not part of our heritage.
Right.
And if we don't understand the importance of holding on to the heritage, then back then the French speakers, they were ostracized by, the English speakers. I'm talking about the white ones.
Yes.
Right? They had to speak white, which was quote unquote, you have to speak English if you want to speak white. Now that, the tables have turned, they're doing the same. Unbeknownst to them or consciously, I don't know. But they're doing the same and not realizing that there's more to the city than language. There's more to, because if you do not pay attention to what's happening, you'll find yourself, like, for example, right now, they're battlings, right? From what I see, okay, I'm like, my mind is really racing, but this is what I see. I see that on the spectrum, every time we politicize language, we take away from what we have here.
Yeah.
And at times that creates exodus. right? You have people that left the city and never came back, or they come back every now and then. You're like, oh my God, I'm born in. And you'd be surprised the amount of people that I meet. Every country that I've gone to countries in Europe and Africa, South America, the Caribbean. I always meet people who either lived in Montreal, grew up in Montreal, or went to school in Montreal.
Right.
This is crazy.
It's true, though. Yes.
In Vancouver, in LA, in New York. I'm like,
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Right.
And I tend to realize, because they feel like there's something here that they don't have, maybe because they speak English.
Right.
But they're locals. And I understand linguistic conversation. I understand it, but we have to go beyond just the language.
Of course.
Because otherwise, we say we want everything to be in French, but we're holding on to Oscar Peterson.
Hall. You know what I mean?
No, but think about it, right?
You're right.
Think about it.
Yes.
Is he a local? Because is he not? Is he part of our local history?
Exactly.
Yes, him, but not the others because they don't speak French. You know what I mean? So it's beyond just the language. And I think right now, because we're treating history as French, English, we're not preserving the gist of what it's supposed to represent.
That's true. I like that. And there's a lot of focus on the Black experience in cities like Toronto or New York. How does Montreal's Black experience differ, and why is it important to recognize its uniqueness?
That's a good question. Well, I'd say in terms of Black consciousness, Montreal we've been there since from the get-go. We've been part of the conversations. We've had the Marcus Garvey coming here. We've had the Patrice Lumumba. We've had the Kwame Nkrumah coming here. We've had the Nelson Mandela. We've Stokely Carmichael, Angela Davis. We've had these people coming here, organizing with us. We've had this consciousness coming here from the Caribbean, through African Americans, from the Scotians, from the Africans. So we've had already this consciousness of, okay, this is somewhat of a Black settlement. This is somewhat of, striving for Black unity. So we do have a concept of what it takes for Black people to come together.
Yes.
Now what we need is to hold on to it, and we need to apply what we've learned for the past centuries. And I think that's the hardest part now.
I agree with that. In your opinion, what role does storytelling play in the fight against erasure of Black history? And how do you use your own platform to tell these stories?
Man, you have some very good questions. Storytelling is everything, right? Because storytelling brings the people back to life.
Yes, I agree.
You talk about these people, you talk about, for example, you talk about, Malcolm X's mother when she moved to Montreal. There you have a woman that, she's light-skinned, but she doesn't like, being light-skinned. She meets this dark-skinned brother. She's like, I want my children to be dark. And then you realize that as a person, who she was, she lived with her uncle. She worked as a domestic. She was, strived to start a business. It makes you understand who these people were beyond just what happened to them.
I agree.
When you talk about Marie Joseph Angélique, she lived here, but at the same time, they said she was arrogant. She might have been an arrogant Black woman in the 1730s.
Yes.
Think about these things and to understand that this could have been a sister or auntie that, we're hanging with today. This could have been a person that we see at work. This could have been a person that's a member of our family. So for me, storytelling I found ways to bring these people back to life while, sharing, the essentials of, okay, this is what you need to understand about that person in that moment in history, and this is who you are in 2024.
I like that.
So.
I like that. And Montreal, it's a city known for its festivals and cultural events. What role do you think public events like your tours could play in fostering a deeper understanding of Black history in Montreal?
Oh, man, I think so far I've been, fortunate enough that when people come in town, they come to my tours, they reach out. I feel they get to see the city, with different lenses. It's a different way of, approaching the city, I bring in places and I talk to them about history that they wouldn't hear nor learn because it's either hidden in plain sight or completely or purposely omitted. Right?
Okay. I like that. Yes. I like that. It's a good answer.
So yeah, that's I think, or I feel that, doing the tours, the experiences, it opens a door to, okay, we have a Black community here that's like active, that's doing things that exist, they have a history, they're part of they're part of this, these layers, these different pockets, but at the same time, they have their own thing going on. That's really interesting.
I got that. And given the current climate of racial justice movements globally, how do you think Montrealers can better unite to support and uplift Black communities in this city?
Well, we need to come together. We need to have the French-speaking and English-speaking sides coming together. We need to have people from the Caribbean coming together. We need to have people from continental Africa with the Caribbeans coming together. We need to collaborate. And we need to, at least have a common understanding of where we're seeing our community 20, 30, 40 years from now.
Right.
Not because we all want the same things. Not because we all think alike.
Right.
Not because we have the same beliefs. Not because we have the same values. But because, we are within the city and we do have, something in common that we want to see our children grow and be safe. And for the sake of the future generations, we do need to, I don't know if we want to implement some sort of plan. I don't know if we want to have some sort of round table, but we do need to put something into action, just like our elders did for us in order for us to be here today.
I agree.
And I think our generation right now, this is what's at stake. I think it's about coming together. I think it's about bridging the gaps.
Yes.
And it's about creating something solid, something stable for the younger generations to take over.
That's awesome. And looking ahead, what is your vision for the future of Montreal Black Experiences? And are there any new projects or initiatives you're excited to bring to the community?
Well, for Black Montreal Experiences, I'm definitely looking to have young people to work with.
Good.
I want to work with young people. New projects, we have a documentary that's coming out. It's called Harlem of the North.
Wow, love it.
It will recount the history of jazz music in Montreal.
Beautiful.
Yes, so, again, to be in control of the narrative, but also, just bring this understanding of what really happened. Recently, I had an art exhibit, it was called Black Summer 91.
Wow, okay.
It was recounting certain events that happened within the summer of 1991 in Montreal with, Black people, Black community, brothers that died from police violence.
Yes.
And I'm also looking to, work with young people, because right now the focus has to be on the younger generations.
Of course.
And I'm looking to see who wants to be part of this, who wants to, have the torch, because right now, it's a, rite of passage.
I love that. Rito, thank you so much for being a part of the Beyond February podcast. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching.